There was this New York Times report that he did not want to talk about, Elon Musk, that alleged that he, towards the end of his time in the White House, was blurring the lines between recreational use of drugs and medicinal. Do you think he ever had drugs here at the White House?
I really don't know. I don't think so. I hope not.
You know, the New York Times wrote about it. They said he takes drugs, and then he went on to say, you know, actually, we dropped a dime to the New York Times on Elon for on Elon's drug taking.
Trump biographer Michael Wolff unveiled that Trump very likely planted the story in the New York Times about Elon Musk's drug use. And I'm inclined to believe it. Why am I inclined to believe it? Well, because Trump has a very long history of planting stories in the press, well before he had a political career. In fact, he would sometimes call into various shows pretending to be someone else. I forget what his fake moniker was, but he would do it.
John Barron and John Miller.
That's right, yeah.
And then he named his son Barron like an idiot, so made it even more obvious that he was John Barron. And he would do hilarious things like, this is John Barron, I'm calling to tell you I'm a source. Trump and Madonna are dating, and Madonna loves Trump. She's obsessed with him. Trump's not sure that he's gonna go for it. I mean, and the reporter knows it too. He's like, Mr. Trump,
oh my
please.
God, it's so sad. It's so sad. Okay, so by the way, I mean, I feel like Elon Musk is pretty public about his drug use, but nonetheless, the New York Times came out with that pretty explosive report. We'll give you a few excerpts from it where they write that Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use. That really doesn't sound fun. And I really don't understand. Like, if I were going to damage my body with regular illicit drug use, it would definitely be uppers, not downers. And doing this and having bladder issues, not fun. What are you doing, Elon? He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms. He traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall, according to a photo of the box and people who have seen it. Now, the report came out prior to Elon and Trump's first breakup and falling out, and both Trump and Elon denied the content of the report at the time. Take a look.
There is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line between.
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication that got a Pulitzer Prize for false reporting on the Russiagate? Is it the same organization?
I got to check my Pulitzer.
I think it is.
It is.
So I think the judge just ruled against the New York Times for their lies about the Russiagate hoax, and that they might have to give back that Pulitzer Prize. That New York Times. Let's move on.
Do you think he ever had drugs here at the White House?
I really don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. Look, I wish him well. You understand. We had a good relationship, and I just wish him well.
He totally planted the story. I would bet money on it. I would bet money on it. Look at the two reactions, right? You have Elon Musk going nuclear and calling the New York Times out for their admittedly terrible reporting on Russiagate. But at the same time, it's a great way of deflecting from the fact that the piece is pretty detailed about his drug use. And according to Wolff, Trump can't seem to keep his mouth shut when talking to his associates on the phone about how he planted the story. So let's take a look at that.
No, I was tracking some Trump phone calls on Monday night, and it's sort of worth explaining here that over a long period of time, I've gotten to know and cultivated a lot of people who Trump regularly speaks to. Trump speaks to them, and then they speak to other people. They literally, you can see them. Trump calls, and then they get on the phone. You'll never guess what he said. Whoever he calls, he says the same thing to everybody. So you know exactly what is on his mind. And the people he calls, they play their part. They agree with him because that's, well, you don't even have to, you just listen and go,
So he's basically calling his friends, associates, whatever, telling them the same thing. And then those people, of course, are going to go around and talk to others about what Trump told them. So that's how word gets out. And this week in particular, Trump's been using his phone calls as more of an Elon venting session. And he let it slip that he tipped off the New York Times about Elon's drug use. Take a look.
So this is
on Monday. We're recording this on Wednesday morning.
Right. And he's like calling people and say, do you think Elon is crazy? I think he's crazy. I mean, all of these ones, he asks a question and then you respond, yes, of course. I think he's crazy. You agree with me. And then, so he asks the question, he answers the question, and then infers that you have agreed with him on this question, or even that it's your thesis. So you think he's crazy.
But his point underlying all this is that for this week in particular, he does think Elon is crazy.
Yeah, no, and he actually went in one of these phone calls, or many of them. He was on about you know how many drugs he takes. You know he takes drugs all the time. You know that, don't you? The New York Times wrote about it. They said he takes drugs, and then he went on to say actually we dropped a dime to the New York Times on Elon for taking on Elon's drug taking.
He says that to people? So they were the source of the story in the New York Times about Elon's.
Well, we have no idea. He is just claiming credit for that now.
Right.
I mean, Elon at least has an excuse. Like he's mixing uppers and downers. He's acting erratically. Like what's Trump's excuse?
He's Trump. Doesn't need an excuse. Okay, so first of all, Michael Wolff, take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but that last part was a little bit credible where he was like, no, I don't know that he did it, planted it with the New York Times. I know that he said he planted it with the New York Times. And so that sounds right. So with Trump, I don't know if he goes and tells those people to make sure that they go then sometimes some of them go and tell the New York Times, right? Or if he just has loose lips. And like if he's mad at Elon Musk, do you think he can contain himself? Remember, he has verbal diarrhea, right? So like whatever's in his top of his mind is right out of his mouth, right? Like Elon, I don't like him these days. He's attacking me. He's high, right? He drugs, right? Ketamine, right? I could see that. That sounds about right for Trump. Whether he intends it to go out to the press or doesn't, if you tell enough people, it'll wind up in the press. But he often also has a very direct relationship to the press. Like the person who he's most connected to is Maggie Haberman. And it's such an interesting dynamic. She's one of the top reporters of the New York Times, and she's covered him well before he was president. They've had a relationship for a long time. And even though Haberman will oftentimes criticize Trump, everyone in Washington that it talks about this says, oh yeah, a lot of times Haberman's source is Trump. So he has a long history of leaking to the press just like this, as we told you. And then my other point is super random. Why uppers and downers? I don't get it. I've never gotten it. Why don't you just not take either one of them?
If you have trouble sleeping from the uppers, some people take downers too. Oh. It's not good. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, sounds like a disaster. Anyways, yeah. Look, I do wonder one last thing, Anna, which is, so Trump loves burning bridges, right? I mean, and then sometimes he'll flip flop if they come back and kiss his ass, but they have to kiss his ass, right? But is there a point where he's going to burn so many bridges? No, it's never going to catch up with him.
Look, I don't know what it is about Trump, but his bullying tends to work. And the whole Teflon Don thing is real. I can't explain it. Tides go in, tides go out. No one can explain it, but it is what it is. I don't think this man is never going to suffer consequences for anything ever. So like we need to stop hoping for it because you're just going to be let down.
Yeah, but all right. So we're on to a new round of Elon versus Trump. Let's see what round 3 looks like. If this is them warming up, if these are the appetizers, oh boy, that is going to be a hell of a meal. So we got 3.5 years of this war to go. And I don't know when or how it becomes nuclear, but that's probably what's next. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.